All right, everyone, welcome back into another Fantasy Golf video. Going to be breaking down the Rocket Mortgage Classic, giving you guys everything that you need to know, including the top picks, the best bets, the best values, and also a first look build in DFS. And so looking at the Rocket Mortgage Classic, this has actually been one of the events that has been pretty easy to predict over all the years that it's taken place now. Last year, Ricky Fowler was number 1 in the 9-to-5 model. Tony Finau, the year he won it, was top 5. This year was extremely tilting. I tweeted about this, but Cameron Davis ended up chipping in for eagle on the 17th hole and then making birdie on 18 to then get into a playoff with Joaquin Niemann and Troy Merritt, both people that I was on outright-wise. Troy Merritt was like 100-1. That was a bitter week as well, but Cameron Davis was also top 10 in the model that week. I think Niemann might have been 1. I didn't check that. I know. Bryson was one of the best in the model that week as well. And then Nate Lashley, in the first year that this tournament took place, was top 10. And so there is a lot of predictability with this event and with this course. And so I'm pretty excited for it. And a nice part as well is when we look at the weather this week, we don't have to worry about the weather being poor. It's going to be pretty good conditions. Maybe on Saturday, maybe a little bit of wind, maybe a little bit of thunderstorms. But for the most part, as it sits right now, not anything that we have to worry about, which is going to be good in terms of getting predictable results. And so one of the reasons why I like this week is that we're going to get a lot of golfers that are going to be good stat fits in good recent form that have good course history now. You know, we have seen this tournament several times now in the past, so we know what to be looking at, which is huge. And looking at the top stat fits, what we're going to be looking at is par 5 scoring. This is a tournament in which they're going to shoot 20 under par most likely. So there's going to be a lot of birdies. And so we're also looking at birdie or better percentage. So how do you score a lot? You got to score on the par 7, or you got to score on the par 5s on a par 72. That is huge. We also see ball striking and stroke gain approach lead to that as well. And so those are going to be the 4 key stats that we're looking at. And so you can already kind of maybe jump in on a lot of those top stat fits, and that's going to be huge this week, I think. From there, we look at the golfers that are going to be the best recent form. And again, it's kind of a loaded field, dare I say. And a lot of people aren't going to say that, but yeah, it's kind of a fun field. You know, we don't have any of the top dogs. There's a little bit of intrigue to this tournament, given the fact that, all right, it's not, we're loading up on Xander, we're loading up on Scotty, we're loading up on Colin Morikawa. Like, it's fun because of that, and it's kind of a loaded field. Tom Kim has been playing extremely well. 10 straight made cuts for him. Taylor Pendrith has been playing much better recently. 1 missed cut in there. Jaeger popping up in there, playing extremely well. You have seen him win already. You got Aaron Rai, who's going to be someone I'm going out of my way to target. Adam Svensson has made 11 straight cuts as well. You got Mark Hubbard, who's made 17 straight cuts. So kind of fun there in terms of recent form. That's just one of the data points that we're looking at, though. But there are some players that we can go in on given their last few starts. Like Jacob Bridgman here. 2 top 20 place finishes over his past 4 starts. 3 top 25 place finishes over his past 5 starts. That's appealing. You got Neil Shipley in there. We're going to have a lot of college golfers in there. You also have Davis Thompson, who has 2 top 10 finishes over his past 5 starts. So there's a lot of intrigue when we're looking at it in terms of recent form. But let's go ahead and talk about course history. So this is a Donald Ross course design. And we do see some Donald Ross course specialists pop up in there that, you know, play well on his same tracks. And I'll get into that in just a second. One of those we can kind of clearly see is Troy Merritt. Again, still kind of tilted by that playoff. That'll hurt me for quite some time. But you also have Chris Kirk here, who's made 4 straight cuts here. All of them top 21 or better finishes. So, you know, those 2 have tremendous course history. You also have Taylor Pendrith with the 14 and 2nd. Jaeger with 2 top 10 finishes. Taylor Moore with 2 top 10 finishes. So there's a lot to like when we're looking at it in terms of course history. And kind of the unique part about it, and we'll jump into this specialist-wise, is that there's a lot of fun stuff that comes with this tournament. Okay, so just looking at raw specialist data, that's fine. But like, what we could really dial it into what we want to see. Maybe course designer, obviously Donald Ross courses, who are the top producers there. And we're going to have some small sample sizes here with a couple of these golfers, which is fine. But you can kind of dial in on which golfers are good Donald Ross course golfers. Maybe bent greens. I think that's important. Scoring is kind of what I want to look at the most. So easy scoring events. And we can just kind of dial in on that. In terms of easy scoring events, who are the best in the field? You got Alex Norm, EVR, Luke List, Adam Svensson, Brennan Todd, which is a little bit surprising. So that is kind of a caveat that I'll be using probably to make some 50-50 decisions this week. So again, pretty excited about this week. Let's go ahead and jump into the top plays. All right, so looking at it, guys, you're going to see that kind of it's going to be spread out. this week because, well, it's a tougher week for DraftKings and other places to predict. And so like someone like Tom Kim, it makes sense why he's the highest priced player this week, coming in off of a second place finish, 2 top 10 finishes over his past 4 starts. Missed the cut here last year though, so that is kind of a big caveat there with him. He's going to be a pretty strong stat fit, pretty good specialist as well. Where he's getting knocked the most is that course history. Obviously missing the cut last year, not good for him. In terms of the upside though, obviously he does have it. Top 10 and birdies are better in the field, which is great. Last week's tournament wasn't really taxing, and obviously last week's tournament was the easy scoring track. I'm happy to get there, and you guys will see there's a bunch of value plays where you can get to him as well. But you don't need to get to him at the same time. Another player that's certainly fascinating is going to be Cameron Young as well. So Cameron Young before last week had been pretty bad. Okay, Cameron Young before last week, just nothing good. And then something clicked. And that's kind of what we see with his recent form, where if we go back to 8 starts ago and 9 starts ago, a 9th and a 2nd place finish. So it wouldn't be surprising to see him be in contention this week. And he also had a 2nd place finish at this event 2 years ago when he played it. He's some of that scores, 8th in the field in birdie or better percentage. Ball striking wise, 10th in the field in ball striking. So it wouldn't be surprising to see him do well. I also think that's a little bit risky. We've seen this time and time again. Like, sure, could he have found something? He might have. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, do we really want to chase that? That being said, kind of a strong option that we have this week is also going to be Alex Noren, who Alex Noren has played this track extremely well. 2 top 10 finishes over the past 4 years here with 1 miscut in his first start here. Going to be a very strong stat fit. 14th best in the field in par 4 scoring, 26th in ball striking, stroke gain approach, 19th in the field. The worry is that he doesn't score that much. He's typically someone that we like to target on those harder scoring tracks when they're not majors, for that matter. And that's what's going to happen when we look at his recent form, is we're going to see miscut at a major, and then also kind of a miscut at the RBC Canadian Open as well, which that's a little bit shocking. But other than that, 22nd, 12th, 24th, he had been playing some great golf. So maybe in a lesser field event, we can maybe look past that a little bit. I don't know if we exactly want to do that, but that's kind of a conundrum that we're in. At the same time, we don't even need to go there because we can easily go with someone like Stefan Jaeger, who has finished top 10 2 straight times at this track. Key stat-wise, the only concern is going to be his stroke gain approach. Otherwise, he ranks top 15 in the field or better in all the other key stats that we're looking at. Recent form, a little bit spotty since he won 10 starts ago. I guess that's a little bit of a concern, but he did beat Scotty Scheffler, so take that for what it's worth. And then he has won 31st, 21st, and 38th over his past 3 starts, which is good. He is someone that has been playing well. I mean, these miscuts or these bad results haven't been terrible. Like, they've at least been basically right on the number. And so I'm okay with that. At the same time, a little bit of risk there, but he should still be a solid play for us this week. But I'm bearing the lead here. The top play in the 9 to 5 mile this week is priced at 8.8. You can get him at 40-1 on FanDuel this week. He is a starting point this week. He's the best play on the board this week. And we're getting him at 8.8. And I don't really know why. This is a head scratcher. This is just someone not playing in a signature event last week, I think, and he probably should have been. He should have been. Like, that's not even a hot take. He should have been playing last week. He had a top 20 place finish at the U.S. Open with a 14th then, and then 32nd, 39th, 4th, 23rd, 1 miscut recently. And so, that is okay. I'm okay with that. Over his past 9 starts, 1 miscut, 2 top 10 finishes, and 5 top 25 finishes or better. So he is in the 5th best recent form. He has played this track before last year, finishing top 10. So love that there from him. 13th best specialist. Extremely good stat fit. The one concern with him is that he hasn't scored on par 5s too much, ranking out 56th in the field. Other than that, 6th best in the field in ball striking, 2nd best in the field in stroke gain approach. Just need him to score a little bit more on those par 5s. But he makes for the first bet you should be making this week, outright-wise, 41. That's just too easy. And DFS-wise, easy plug and play. You look at some of the concerns from last week. Some of the concerns last week were that the pricing was so soft in the mid-tier, and we know not to do this with no-cut events, but it's so appetizing to do that last week. Whereas this week, you're going to see that the mid-tier is absolutely loaded. And with this being a cut-based event, we are going to probably want to be loading up on players in that mid-tier. So let's go ahead and jump more into those plays as well. And so from Aaron Rai, we could easily get to someone like Maverick McNeely as well, who has been playing extremely well. He is at a soft price tag on DraftKings, and also FanDuel has him at 30-1 outright-wise as well. So he's someone that you guys can get on outright-wise as well. Though we have some concerns with him, unlike Aaron Rai, who's really coming in checking all the boxes, is that with Maverick McNeely, he missed the cut at this event 2 years ago, then finished 21st and 8th prior to that. So, pretty good course history here. We'll take that. Stat fit-wise, a little bit of a concern, ball striking and stroke gain approach, but he's scoring a bunch, okay? 8th in the field in birdie or better percentage, and that's because he ranks 14th in the field in par 5 scoring. So he is being able to take advantage of those scoring opportunities, which we love to see. And what I love here, guys, actually is look at this form. You know, kind of went from descending from a 9th place, then to a 45th, then to a 58th, to a miscut, and since then, 31st, 23rd, 17th, and 7th. So it's been getting better each start as well. And so that all bodes well for him. And it's not shocking to see him, you know, projecting out this well. So he's someone that at that price tag in fair and balanced builds, or just in all your builds, you're going to be getting to. And again, outright wise, he does make a lot of sense as well. Love that ascending form, love that course history, and he's played well at this track. From there, another play that is going to be tough for me not to play is going to be Keith Mitchell. Now, I'll get into Davis Thompson here in a second. I'm kind of surprised that Davis Thompson's popping up as much as he is, but Keith Mitchell is someone that I will be going out of my way to target. He has been someone that has been popping up a decent amount this year in terms of someone we could potentially be on outright-wise, and that's going to be more of the same this week. Keith Mitchell, key stat-wise, guys, absolutely phenomenal. Top 5 or better in all the key stats that we're looking at. Top 5. That is crazy, right? And so Keith Mitchell, the form has been a little bit lackluster, okay? We haven't really seen too many spike weeks from him, but his down weeks haven't been terrible as well. A couple of miscuts mixed in there, but for the most part, pretty solid form. You look at his recent form average over his past 10 starts, 37th, over his past 15 starts, 38th, over his past 5 starts, 35th. So that's shouts extreme consistency. And if you look at that ranking, that ranks out top 10 or better over the last 5 starts, over the last 10 starts, over the last 15 starts. So again, kind of promotes that consistency. He's going to be a top 8 specialist. Really, the one concern that we have with Keith Mitchell is not having that course experience. At the same time, I don't know if that matters too much. Like, we would love for him to have that. That's also why we're getting him at a discount. You can get him at 33-1 outright wise. So like, he is someone that does make a lot of sense as well. And so yes, let's go ahead and pivot on into Davis Thompson, because Davis Thompson, I'm pretty shocked is popping up this well in the 9-5 model as the second best play. And I don't know if I agree with that necessarily. I would still have him as someone we can get to. Now, why does the data like him? Well, I think it's because of the top 10 in his most recent start. I kind of mentioned last week, the most important start is the golfer's last start data-wise. That's the most predictable data point that we have. So that's probably the reason why he's pulling in as well as he is. But we see, you know, top 10 finish mixed in there, 1 miscut, 2 miscuts. So for the most part, we can see the one bad data point that we have coming in for Davis Thompson is going to be those miscuts 3 starts ago and 6 starts ago. So overall, not terrible. Does have that course experience. Is a really strong stat fit, 5th in the field. And so he's someone that I personally see as more of a GPP only play, given the fact that he does have a recent miscut. If you guys are someone that plays cash, kind of the golden rule that you should use is, has a player made 3 straight cuts in a row on the PGA Tour? If the answer is no, he is not a good cash play. If he has, he can be in your cash consideration, because that kind of says that he is in good form. He's making shots that set him up to make the cut. And so Davis Thompson is kind of more of the opposite, where I think he makes for a great outright bet. I believe you can get him at 40-1 on FanDuel. 35-1 is going to be his average odds. So he's someone outright wise I like as well. So now let's jump into some kind of elite values that we are getting. Okay, so elite values. Ben Griffin, Mr. Maxfly, you can play. I think he's fine. Mark Hubbard, who has made 17 straight cuts now on the PGA Tour, hasn't had the best luck here at this track. At the same time, this is a track where you would think he would be fine. He is someone I could play and I will be playing. A play that I do like a lot is going to be Adam Svensson, who has been playing a little bit better than Mark Hubbard recently, has made 11 straight cuts. He makes for a solid cash play, it would seem. I mean, not the best staff at that. There's some concern there, okay? Not scoring that much, a little bit of a concern there. But that's why we're getting him at this price tag. I'm not saying he's someone you guys need to bet outright-wise, but he is someone that I probably will be betting on to make the cut again, you know, or to top 40 again. I feel pretty good about that. And he does have that course experience, 2 straight made cuts here. And so he is someone that I'll be looking at more for that market. But value-wise, 7.6. DFS-wise, he is someone that, like, man, that is super difficult not to end up on, right? Like, that is just such a cheap price tag for a guy that's been playing that well. And you could argue the exact same thing there for someone like Mark Hubbard, who is appealing, hasn't missed a cut this season. His form has been tailing off a little bit. But I mentioned this with Mark Hubbard. U.S. Open, not a good track for him. PGA Championship, not really good track for him. Charles Schwab Challenge, team event, don't really care about that too much. And so this is probably going to be one of the better events for his game most recently. And so I do expect him to make the cut. Should be a safe cash play. I don't see him as a GPP play, though. And then so another play that I'm extremely surprised by is popping up as much as he is going to be Matt Wallace. Matt Wallace is coming in as the 8th best pick in the 9-to-5 model, which, as you guys know, it's measuring both safety and upside. So there's something in the data that likes him. And when we look at it a little bit more detailed, we could probably see why. 78th place finish last year. Don't love that. But then prior to that, a 10th and 12th place finish for his course history. So 2 out of 3 years here, top 15 or better finishes. That's pretty darn good. We'll take that. Key stat-wise, scoring on par 5s, right? 2nd best in the field in par 5 scoring. Birdie or better percentage, 4th in the field. And not terrible ball striking and stroke gain approach as well. So that is good. Recent form, over his past 7 starts, 1 missed cut, and a top 5 finish mixed in there. Just pretty desirable results, especially at this price tag. So across the board, ranking out top 20 or better in all the key metrics that we look at. And so that leads to some predictability. And so Matt Wallace is someone that I do think we can, be looking at. And on top of that, if you guys care about the DP Tour, had a 15th place finish there as well. So pretty good stuff there for him as well. So he's someone I will be putting into a lot of my builds. Now let's go ahead and shift into some of the values that we are getting as well. I wouldn't say elite values, but again, that's the appeal this week, is that we do have a lot of discounted price plays that we can do a lot with. So I do want to point out Nick Dunlap is someone that does score a decent amount. 3rd in birdie or better percentage. Don't mind him. And just another play that's going to be a very good stat fit that I could see really having that pop that we would want to chase, because while we look at it, 11th best in the field in par 5 scoring, 2nd best in the field ball striking, 6th best in stroke gain approach, and 37th in the field in birdie or better percentage. The issue with Kevin Yu is that he doesn't make putts for the most part, but we know that when a golfer gets hot with their putter, that can promote a lot of upside. And so for me, I'm kind of teasing around with the idea of potentially betting him outright, maybe 80-1 right now on Bet36 or on BetMGM. Those are pretty good odds. I will take that. I thought he'd be a little bit higher. So we are actually seeing the books be a little bit sharp with this line, but we are seeing some big discrepancies there. Guys, a difference of 20 is huge outright wise, right? 60-1 to 80-1, that is massive. And so that is just something you should be jumping on in general. That is a big difference that shouldn't be happening, especially between popular books like DraftKings, FanDuel, and BetMGM. That should not be happening. And then for example purposes, I did have Davis Thompson up in there, who I also view as he ranks out much better, but more of a outright bet, maybe top 10 bet only or better. And we're going to see much more continuity between the lines. So I kind of did that for example purposes. Looking at some other value plays that we have, I could see Jonathan Vegas having a good week. That wouldn't be shocking. He's someone that is going to be a good stat fit. Michael Kim, also someone that, good stat fit. Justin Lauer is someone that has played pretty well at this track. Wouldn't be surprising to see him do well. JJ Spawn's been kind of bad this year, but, really good course history for him. Chan Kim's going to be a good stat fit, relatively good form. Again, wouldn't be shocking to see Chan Kim have a good week. Jacob Bridgman is someone that I will be intrigued to play. Just a good par 5 score in birdie or better percentage. Not terrible, top 15 in the field recent form-wise as well. He's been playing pretty well, so he's someone I think we can get to. Troy Merritt is someone that will have random pop weeks. I will say this week would not be one of those weeks because he does have that tremendous course history. He is a Midwest guy, born in Iowa, went to school in Minnesota, actually was raised in Minnesota in the Twin Cities, went to my alma mater for 1 year. And so this is a Midwest track. It's not even a Donald Ross course. It's a Midwest course. It's a Parkland style course, but really it's a Midwest course. And so he is definitely familiar with this type of course. So it's really not shocking that he has produced some good results at this track. And his form hasn't been terrible over his past 4 starts. Now, if we go further than that, it's been trash. Okay, 74th in the field, that's not good. But I do think at 6.3, it's certainly appealing. And honestly, maybe someone that you could bet top 20 still. This is a very good line that we're getting for someone that clearly likes the track and has recently shown some upside. And so I can get behind this again this week. DFS-wise, someone that you can play in a studs and duds build. And guys, there's plenty more plays that I could get into. Like I said, kind of a casually loaded field. There's so many decent plays that could pop and a lot of bad plays that we're not touching as well. But don't want this video to go too long, so let's go ahead and get into the first look build, and then we'll get into the lineup builder as well, kind of what that build process is there. And so looking at the build process, I probably will be going with a lot of these top 4 right here, in most of my builds in some capacity. That's probably going to be my structure. I do really think Matt Wallace is going to be a good option, and so this to me makes for a great GPP build. Probably not the best cash build, just because Davis Thompson does feel like more of a GPP play. One slight pivot you could do is, go off of Matt Wallace and you're getting into Mark Hubbard, who probably more of a good cash play. Then you have 8.5 left over. You can still get to Davis Thompson. I'm kind of okay with that. Another play that I really like is Jaeger. He's been playing extremely well, has great course history here. So you could play him. And then you have 6.8 left over. Chandler Phillips is someone that I mentioned. Like, I don't mind him. Brennan Todd, probably someone that will make the cut. Jonathan Vegas, good stat fit. And so that's kind of the issue, is that there's so many different little changes you can make in your lineup path to get unique and get a strong build. Let's say you didn't want to play Jaeger. Maybe you want to do a little bit more of a studs and duds. You got Alex Noren there. And then I was hoping we could get to Troy Merritt. We can't. I guess who would we get to from there? But actually, I'm fine with that. Pendrith, I'd be fine with. Those are kind of more shoulder shrug plays for me this week, but that's kind of it. Like, that's the lineup process this week. So let's go ahead and jump into the lineup builder now so you guys can see that. All right, so I'm not going to do any filters. I am just giving the lineup builder 2 data points to go off of. That's how it starts. And so let's go ahead and just kind of check that out, what it tells us are going to be the best builds or the best build for this week. And so right now, and really no shock here, this Luke Clanton, because there's a small sample size on him, he is really popping. So he's someone that I will be kind of filtering off of a little bit. Like, I don't think we need to get there that much. And so, like, for him, like 5% should do it. And so, slightly adjust that. And Rayo as well, I don't need to be on him that much. So let's just regenerate that just to see what it spits out. And so much better. Aaron Rye, 100%. So the data agrees with that. He's obviously coming in as a top pick in the 9-5 model, someone we should be playing. So I kind of like, I'm just going to delete that lineup. And then, so here we go. Jaeger, Rye, Mitchell, Thompson, Svensson, Wallace. Is that the lineup that I did? Close to the lineup that I did. So the data does kind of agree with my process this week, which I think is the first time in a while. And again, that is what gets me excited, is that it's going to be super easy to make good builds this week. And so that's going to do it for this video. Appreciate you guys being here. Be ready for the Wednesday live stream as well. I don't know what time that'll be at, but check that out. We'll be coming out with a betting video tomorrow as well. That's going to be all for today's video, though. If you guys want access to any of the tools that you saw in this video, head on over to 9to5sports.com. They're available for just $10 a month. All right, thanks for watching. Good luck. If you guys want access to the tools, head on over to 9to5sports.com. All right, good luck. And as always, let's keep cashing.